Like his sire, American Quarter Horse Hall of Famer Leo, Okie Leo is considered one of the great using horses sires of the American Quarter Horses, a foundation of horses with incredible minds and solid conformation that epitomize the versatility and using ability of the breed. Just as they had with Leo, generations of breeders have looked to Okie Leo's genetics to develop programs that further the ranch horse to be cowy, with good feet to work in rugged conditions, stamina to keep going, and a trainable mind that partners the horse with the rider. Okie Leo's blood flows in some of today's best ranch horses, the stallions, broodmares, and remudas that propagate the line and its all-around abilities. Bred by Leo's owner, American Quarter Horse Hall of Famer Bud Warren of Perry, Oklahoma, Okie Leo was foaled in 1956, one of 13 foals out of Sorrel Sioux, a daughter of King P234. Sold as a yearling to E.L. Les Gosselin, Okie Leo started 2 races as a 2-year-old at Ruidoso Downs in New Mexico. He then was sold to Dick Roby, who with wife Helen was getting started in the horse business in Edmond, Oklahoma before relocating to Perkins. Dick said that he decided that if you couldn't make money off a Leo-bred stallion that was out of a king mare, you've got no business being in horses at all. So he bought him.
He worked for Dr. James Brown, who was kind of a renowned veterinarian, and he did work for Les Goslin. They had Go Man Go and some other nice racehorses. Okie Leo was one of 4 2-year-olds he sent to the track. My husband was over there quite a bit, and they liked him, so they let him buy Okie Leo. We were quite privileged to be able to buy the horse, and we didn't have any money, but he let us pay him out, and he earned his way, all of his life. He was a great horse. We really enjoyed him. We didn't have any children, so he kind of became our child.
Okie Leo found his calling in the show ring, where he became an AQHA champion when that was the highest honor attainable with the American Quarter Horse Association. He earned 20 points at halter and 88.5 points in reining, cutting, and western pleasure, and with Don Wilcox riding, picked up his superior in reining by winning 50 of the 55 reining classes entered. Okie Leo stood grand champion 4 times and took blue ribbons in 9 Get of Sire classes, all while also netting a National Cutting Horse Association Certificate of Ability.
He reined him for a long time, and Don Wilcox, I don't know, was helped him quite a bit with the reining, and he wanted to ride him. He wouldn't let Don take him home, but he'd let him ride him at the shows, and he won 25 straight with him. And then there got to be no competition. And when he was there, nobody had dinner. So Dick said, well, we got to do something else with him. So I had never done Western Pleasure, but he said, well, why don't you try to do Western Pleasure with him? Well, that was fun, walk, trot, lope, work. And I got to dress up, so I liked that.
Okie Leo was also shown in a 4-H and FFA show in 1960 in Dallas, where the 4-year-old stallion was ridden by John Mixer, the 10-year-old son of well-known American Quarter Horse artist and Hall of Famer Orrin Mixer.
Dick entered me in the Western Pleasure, and I'd never shown a horse, but he entered me on all these classes, and reining was the one I only knew, and I did a good job in all of them, but I didn't place. But I went in there for the reining. I think there was 80-some horses in it, and packed in an alleyway. And they finally called my number. And Dick told me to go get it. And that was back before they had all the long slides and sliding plates and everything. This was when they did a roll back and come back. I did my small figure 8, then my large figure 8, and he told me to open him up when you go into your rollback. And I went down and I opened him up and I sat him down. He come back so hard and set me clean out of the saddle, and I just grabbed my stirrup and threw my leg back and opened him up for the other end. We did our roll back and come back. I backed him up, and the judge said, thank you. I rode off, and they announced a score of 78, and I felt so bad I messed up. And Dick said, don't worry about it. It's out of a possible 80. So I felt so much better, but we went back in there, and pretty soon they announced the winner, my number, and Dick had slapped that horse from the butt. I didn't.
There was never a dull moment with Okie around. He had a personality and loved to play.
His pen where he where we kept him was right there by the house, and had an old ladder, an old wooden ladder that was about 6 foot long, and his pen was just 2 smooth wires. But he'd get that ladder and he'd put it up on, pick it up and put it on his chest, and then he'd reach out and pick it up, and he'd walk around, with that thing, and he had that until, I guess, till it finally wore out. And then he had a tetherball up in the tree. And he'd back up into his stall, and he'd run up at that tetherball. Anyway, he entertained himself pretty well.
The Robies had a lot of great horses. And when Helen was asked what made Okie Leo so special, she fondly reminisced about his willingness, the way he moved, and how he would do anything you asked him to do.
The colts by him, they were, I don't care what kind of mare they were out of, they seemed to have basically the same mindset. The disposition and the move, and we raised a lot of colts. I think there were pictures of kids on him. Dick used to sell, it was his big deal to sell colts. He'd always put the kids or the women, which made me mad, But he put the women on him, and he got along fine, they all got along fine with him. But we sold quite a few horses that way, too.
Okie Leo went on to sire long strings of successful roping, reining, barrel racing, and working cow horses, and even a couple that won on the track. Okie Leo died in July 1978, but remained a leading sire of AQHA performance winners until 1985. Okie Leo made a lasting impact in the lives of American Quarter Horse Hall of Fame members such as Bob Loomis and M.O. Bud Breeding, and in many others' lives. His legacy will continue to live on as part of AQHA's history. Please welcome Okie Leo into the American Quarter Horse Hall of Fame.